Okay, welcome to my channel once again. Glad you are here. This is the last interview Golda Asante granted the Ghana Health News before leaving the Ghana AIDS Commission. Just take a listen. Okay, so good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you again, and it's like you know more at the Ghana AIDS Commission officially.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, I have been working with Ghana AIDS Commission for a long time, and for the past 6 years, I was seconded from the local government service to them. And so normally secondment is 2 years and then 1 additional year. So after 3 years, because of our hard work and our dedication, the commission requested that, we continue working with them, also because they were finding it difficult getting clearance, and so they were dependent on seconded staff. And that is why I had to stay a bit more, which is quite unusual, but it tells you that we were doing a lot, and so our services were needed. And so after 6 months, they got clearance, but before then I have also had my promotion to the position of a director. And so once you are a director at the local government service, there we don't have a lot of women being directors at the local government service. And so it was very obvious that, the demand for my services was very, very, needed. And it was high as well. So I made up my mind to come back to the local government service. That's my parent organization, to continue my good work. And so that is why I have exited the Ghana AIDS Commission.
Of course, definitely not good news for many people, especially the media, with whom you have interacted so well over the years. But let's talk about your award, and then we'll come back to your work at GAC. Is it coincidental?
I don't really think so. I think that over the years, we have done a lot. Even in 2015, I was adjourned the best worker for the year, senior category. So it tells you that over the years, we have been building on the good work we are doing. And so, they felt that with my exit, they had opportunity to really acknowledge people who have over the years distinguished themselves and pushed the national response to HIV and AIDS. And so they couldn't have done that without recognizing the good roles we have played over the years, especially in strengthening the decentralized response to HIV and AIDS, and some of the good things that we have done, marshalling and a lot of resources, technical, financial, and then human as well, to respond to the HIV epidemic.
Obviously, for all those who have worked in and around you and your team, some will say this is even long overdue. But one thing that stands out in the work you have done with your team till your exit is how you were able to move the media to really carry on the message. It was as if you have used the media to replace a lot of the NGOs who were receiving funding to work in the area. And we all know that kind of funding isn't something that is available anymore. How did you do that?
Okay, thank you. Like you rightly said, the way we have responded to the AIDS or HIV epidemic, right from, years ago, but some decades, at every point in time, we are changing our strategy. So we started with awareness, and I normally refer to it as the noise time, where everywhere you see the float, you see, everywhere we're talking about HIV. It worked for us because we needed to create the awareness. So we moved a bit from the awareness to behavior change interventions, and these, when we got there, you realize that the funds were reducing, and so we were doing what we have been doing, targeted programming, where we target either population, location, or something, and then we provide services. But if you look at where we started and the strength in our finance, and you compare it to now, it is like things have drastically changed, and the funding, it's becoming something scarce now. And so we had a lot of civil society organizations, local NGOs, community-based organizations working those times. But as like I explained, so as time went on, you realize that the numbers were changing. At first, we used to have, for instance, 20 NGOs working in a community. Now we don't even have. But before 2014, we had about 2 NGOs working in each district. Now the money is not forthcoming, and so we needed to strategize. So you realize that not much is being heard apart from what the technical support unit were doing with Ghana Health Service. There is a big gap when it comes to the role of civil society organization, because since 2014, the Ghana AIDS Commission has not had money to engage them in community education. However, we are on the ground. We are community people, and we see the kind of things going on. Now, people even think that HIV is no more. People are into casual sex. People are into multiple concurrent partnership. People are into all kinds of things, including female sex work, men who have sex with men, and who are also bisexuals as well. And so if you look at the kind of things happening in terms of even other in discipline, in terms of sex and sexual intercourse, you realize that we were sitting on a time bomb, and we needed to do something. And so that is why I decided that I need to rally some media persons who have a passion for health and have a passion for HIV interventions. So for the past 2 years, they have been there for me, and fortunately we were blessed with U.S. Embassy and PEPFAR, for that matter, coming to support us. And so even though I had some interaction with some media guys, and they were supporting almost every week, they were doing something on HIV for me. You hear my voice here, so that was what has kept the Eastern Regional response to HIV. Trust me, they were so excellent. And with PEPFAR coming in, PEPFAR tried to train about 12 of them. And so we chose those who have been supporting the response, and we brought on board a few others. And I was part of the training, and we tried to do some strong advocacy for them to know that the money wasn't forthcoming, and we didn't have money, but they should take it as part of their corporate social responsibility. And even though I didn't get all the 12 people working, I think 10 of them distinguished themselves: media, radio, print, and then TV. And they took special interest and delight in our work. And so every week they will call different topics, importance of knowing your HIV status, the 90 basic facts about HIV, prevention strategies. I mean, what are the opportunities for people when they test positive, and how can they be retained in care, importance of antiretroviral. I mean, and this work, if you don't have a passion, even as a technical coordinator or a focal person, you cannot do, because it is not a work which you are being paid for. To sit down and to plan what you will say for the week, this one is coming, this one, and you will not repeat yourself. It takes a lot of work, but because of our passion, we did that. We planned very well. We know what we are talking to Right FM about. We knew what we were talking to Eastern FM about, Radio 1, Bright FM. So all of them were on board, and it has really worked for us. The other thing is that they also had network, and so if Health Life put something on the website, other people will also take it, and the others also have network linked to other media guys in different regions. So it's like a day. I have to prepare myself that I'll talk to 3 or 4 media houses, and including even other people outside Eastern region. And that is how, we see progress in the kind of work we were doing, because the NGOs are not working. You need to give them money to do, but the people have a lot of listenership, and so some of the radio stations, they have wide coverage, and so if you engage them, you know that your message will get to so many people. So in effect, this is how we engage the media. Of course, we cannot say we replace the CSOs with the media, but the media had held the fort for Eastern Regional response to HIV and AIDS.
Okay, so myself and of course the Ghana healthnews.com, which I represent, were at the National HIV and AIDS Research Conference. And when the annual centenary report was being presented, the work really showed there. The figures really spoke something. It was very loud and clear. Now, just this year, we are hearing that the rate at which young people are getting infected, I'm talking about new infections among young people, has gone up. What happened?
Okay, so that was a national figure.
Yes.
But I don't doubt it, because I have a special program in schools, and my interaction with students over the past 1 year, since last year, we have been working with them, but we started a special program targeting them, and we started it last year, September, and we have been to many schools. And trust me, my interaction with them, we need to get up and do something. We really need to, because I am not surprised that new infection among them is increasing, because not much education on HIV and AIDS, not much education on that. And even if, you see, as part of their school lessons, they study, especially science students, they talk about HIV, but that is different. What they learn in school is for exams purpose. For behavior change, you need to take it to a different level. And that is what is missing. And in effect, even education in community, general education on HIV has gone down. So what do you expect? And I always tell people that, you see, the mode of transmission when it comes to HIV, the major route of HIV transmission is through unprotected sex with an infected person. And so the major route is the weakest part of man. Sex, everybody is having sex. It is a different thing to talk about sex in marriage. That is a different thing altogether. But when it comes to sexual intercourse, people are having sex, and nowadays, even 8 years are having it. 9 years. I have people's in class 4 and class 5 who are sexually active. And so if you look at their sexual life, adolescent, their sexual life, and you compare it with the kind of education and knowledge which can translate into behavior change, it is either not there or it is very small. So what do you expect? That is where we are now. And the other thing is how adults are even feeding or taking undue advantage of young girls and having sex with them. And even in the school, it is something else. When you interact with students, girls, how male teachers are on them, it is terrible. And that is why I support the recent action that Ghana Education Service took by sacking 10 teachers, another few, I think 2 or 3 who were non-teaching staff but are workers there. I support them, and for me it is long overdue, because you see these young girls, 13 years in senior high, 14 years, 15 years, and teachers are threatening them. If you don't do this, we'll fail you. Even in the tertiary institution. And if the victimization, look at the Ashanti region, the school, where the student girls were bold enough to testify. By the time we realized, instead of them being protected, their pictures were in the social media. It is so disheartening. So even their self-confidence, we try to kill it, because you see, if they report, the way the atmosphere is so stigmatizing and intimidating, such that these young girls cannot even come out to testify. And when they testify, what happens? GES will just post them to another district. And so what happened over the past few weeks, where teachers have been sacked, I think that we'll need to see more of those things. Justice must be fast for these girls. And until we do that, these teachers will just be sleeping with girls, and students don't have, because of the environment and the things they have to go through, they will just keep quiet. So I think that education has gone down, and it is not just education, but appropriate education, which is age appropriate and culturally oriented. It means that wherever they are, we should look at the environment, look at the atmosphere, and provide them with the education that would change their behaviors. Until that, trust me, look, in one school, it was a boys' school, and normally when I go there, I do the education. It takes between 2 to 3 hours. It is very interactive. And then I go there with trained health workers and social workers, and even including a person living with HIV, who will do one-on-one counseling. And then we have time. It's like a whole day in the school. We have time with these girls. We listen to them and the boys. In one school, I spoke to 55 boys. All of them have girlfriends. This is not excluding what my other colleagues and trained nurses have done. I just sat down and I said, let me talk to 55 boys on a subject. Are you in a relationship? And the 55, it was 3 said they were not in a relationship. By the time we finished the conversation, they were all in a relationship. And others had 3 girlfriends. And you ask them why. And they will give you reasons why they are dating somebody in the school, somebody this, and in their house and close by. It is terrible. So we cannot respond to HIV like the way we are going now. Nothing is said about it. People are doing their own thing, and occasionally we go and give figures. Trust me, even the figures we are given, it is something else. If the figures are high, then the reality is 2 times or 3 times.
Is this a threat to the Agenda 1990?
It is. It is. For the 1990, the principles are clear. The principles of 1990 are: 1, business not as usual. We are talking about fastness. We are talking about speed. We are talking about saturation. We are talking about something. These are the principles. And the principle of saturation, for instance, means that when you move to a place, you have to saturate the place with your message, with your services. You need to make sure that everybody in that place access HIV testing service. And the testing service include getting information on HIV, taking a test, getting counseling, doing risk assessment, so that even if you are negative, you can stay negative. You can adhere to the counseling given to you, and you can stay negative and take care of yourself. If you are positive, you need to assess counseling services. You need to take the services that they will give to you, provide the options. I mean, getting enrolled onto treatment, making sure you take your treatment regimen very well, adhering to other counseling we give to you, nutrition, living positive, so it's a comprehensive thing. And so you need to saturate the place with your services. What are we doing about this? The principle of speed, it must be fast. So when you get there, you are getting many people. You don't wait for people to say this and that. You must send your services there. Are we doing that? That thing. So the 1990 goes with principles. And if we are doing less, then of course it will affect us. But as a region, if you look at where we are, you can see that we are doing our best, and we need to continue and even do more. And if we do that, it can, because the 1990, in layman's terms, first 90 is all about testing, broadening your testing options, and making sure that you are bringing people on board. Second 90 is about treatment, making sure that the 90% of people who know their HIV status are put on sustained antiretroviral treatment, and making sure that the last 90, they get virally suppressed. And so it needs more work, and it goes with funding as well.
I was about to ask you what we can do about this young group. I mean, this class of people who, if we don't take time, they will be a threat to the achievement of the 1990. But as a former technical coordinator, we approached you to also talk about your award and your work so far. So I would like to end that there and then take you back. The region, Eastern region, has been dropping consistently in prevalence. And so even though the region was some time ago the number 1 leading in prevalence, as high as 8% some time ago, it's now down, and if you are counting, 0.1. We now are at 2.1. We are no more first, we are no more second, we are no more third, we are no more even fourth. Tell me, I'm sure you have watched the figures drop. How did it happen? And after that, you tell me how you think we can sustain it.
Well, it takes hard work. if you look at if you look at Eastern regional prevalence, you see consistency in it. You see consistency. I mention consistency because you see around 2002, our prevalence was like almost 8%, 7.9. It went up to, I think, 6.4 or 6.5, then back to 6.9. Then it came back. And for 3 years, we recorded 4.2 for, I think, since 2010, 2011, 2012. It came down. It's so, and you can see that there is consistency. It has taken a lot of work by many stakeholders, and we were fortunate years ago. We had very good leaders at the Regional Health Directorate and the RCC. And they were very supportive. Former regional ministers were very supportive. Former MCs, very supportive. And then the partnership between, that time I was a focal person for the Regional Coordinating Council, and Dr. Ofori, SB Ofori, used to be the NACP focal person or coordinator and representing health. And the two of us, we worked so well. We worked so well. And for years, when we were talking about the secret of our success, the progress we were making as a region, we were always talking about, in fact, best practices, we were always talking about collaboration, effective collaboration between the RCC and the health. It appeared in our best practices for years. And I think that the magic worked for us. We also got a lot of traditional leaders who distinguished themselves. And our collaboration with the House of Chief was great. Ochehene, Manfehene, Nana Osenya Komboso, Paramount Chief of Bosugwa. The Queen Mothers were also the Krobo. Then the Eastern Regional Queen Mothers. We had a lot of support, plus civil society organization, and the persons living with HIV themselves. And in recent time, the media as well. So it went well. And so when you look at my award, they awarded me, even not as a technical coordinator, they awarded me as a focal person. So the award acknowledged my outstanding leadership role I played in HIV and AIDS response. And it's, when you look at it, I need to be celebrated as a regional focal person in the region with the heaviest burden of HIV for over 3 decades. How I marshaled all stakeholders from public, private, traditional, and community level, and collectively we did something. It is hard work, and it is, having a vision and thinking through and bringing out innovation and partnership with people.
Okay, but going forward, it looks complex, for want of a better word. Minutes ago, you were just telling me what is happening among young people and in schools could be a threat to the achievement of the Agenda 1990. Looking backward to, you have told me how you managed to work to bring down the prevalence. Now, going forward, how can we sustain this? Because at 2.1, I am looking forward to us coming even down more. And then here we are with what is happening among the youth that is not too good. And talking about sex, that age group is the most active. So that doesn't it look complex? I
think that we need to pay attention to adolescents. Let me chip in this. All over the world, you see progress we are making in terms of prevention, in terms of treatment, in terms of people being retained But when you look at the indicators for adolescents globally, whilst new infections are decreasing among adults, it is increasing among adolescents. Whilst death is decreasing because of antiretroviral coverage, it is increasing among adolescents. Whilst it's a global thing, and that is why we need to take the all-in adolescent all-in campaign seriously. And it was based on this concept of adolescent all-in that I launched that campaign in the schools. I think that services to adolescents are missing in our response. When you pick our books, our national HIV and AIDS response, there are a lot that they have stated for adolescents and young ones. But trust me, it is in the books. When it comes to implementation, it is something else. If you call stakeholders and you ask them, what specifically are you doing for adolescents? We may not get it. So we need to prioritize them. We need to see how best we can increase prevention among them, even access. And some of these reasons are obvious. Access to them is limited. Access to education is limited. Prevention and treatment. You see, let's assume a 13-year-old moving to a health facility and say, I need family planning. You see how people will make their face. Except, of course, the place is a adolescent youth-friendly facility. Other than that, there is stigma around it. But for an adolescent, 13 years, moving to a facility and say, I want family plan, I need condom, it means that person is bold. You understand? But because of our tradition, because of our socio-cultural beliefs and values, because of our, stereotyping and prejudice, it's like if you are of a certain age, you cannot ask for certain services. That is killing our response. I know that there's been a lot of change over the past few years about adolescent services. There is a lot of talk, and we are trying to have adolescent-friendly services attached to facilities. But we still need to work on people's mind. Because when you go to a service provider, the person will want to look at you as my daughter. So why are you coming for condoms? Why are you coming for this? And you need to differentiate between you as a service provider and your daughter, or how you talk to you, because the person has come for services, provide the services. So it's the traditional way of doing things which is killing a number of adolescents who are sexually active and can protect themselves. They cannot get access to condoms because somebody will say, we are Christian this, we are Christian that. Yes, I am a Christian. But if you look at the effect of early sex, it is not a service provider. If, for instance, you have come to me for lubricants as a man who has sex with a man, or if you have come to me as adolescent who needs condom, that is not where I'll be talking to you about the Bible. I am a service provider. I have to provide you with service. But it is up to the church to talk about the Bible and talk about the implication of A, B, C, D. If you fail and the person comes for services, you are expecting the service provider to say this. No, you have failed. So we should stop the hypocrisy. If everybody is doing his or her work well, we will get results. But if you're a pastor or a religious leader and you fail to get results, don't push it to the health worker who has to provide services. She or he will have to do that. So I think that our youth, we need to visit them. We need to prioritize them. It should not be mouth services. It should not be lip services. Just talking, are youth. What are we doing? We need to rise up and we need to get an age-appropriate, friendly services. We need to make services available to them. Look, there are students who are HIV positive and their parents don't even know. And some of us, we organize and set their medication. But their parents are somewhere making noise. So it must also start from the house, in our homes. We need to break that taboo on talking about sex. We need to break that thing. We need to talk to adolescents the implication of their age and having sex. We need to talk about it. We need to get closer to them so that we know at every point in time what they are doing. If I tell you the number of young people who are into gayism and then boys who have sex with boys, you'll be shocked. And some of them, it's because they are not getting the information. They are not getting what they need to get from their parents. Parents have pushed the blame. Your teacher will teach you. Teachers also think that their parents should do their bit. Others also think that the church should rise up. So now we are just being like Adam and Eve. It is the snake. It is the apple. It is the so and so. It is the that. We all have to see that we have a responsibility as parents, as teachers, as church leaders, as whatever. Everybody should do our bit, and as service providers. And it is when and the media as well. And it is when everybody see it as a responsibility and start talking about it and start punishing male teachers who are abusing girls. Even some of them may not be sex, but it is harassment. The way you look at the female students, the way you hit the buttocks, the way you do other things, touch the nose, these are all harassment. And if juniors start punishing them, stiff punishment, people will sit up. There should be discipline. So it is a collective action that we need to do. Ghana is Commission, NACP, this and that, everybody, including church. If we start doing something, we can get results.
Okay, so this interview is actually quite a personal one, talking about your award, your work at GAC, and this time is not enough to talk about all you've done. We have seen you work with Queen Mothers. We have seen you visit the prayer camps, dig out their issues. That is another story to tell another day. I mean, we've seen you go out at night. We've seen you at the Easter Kwawu festivals. You've seen it all. But you are now a former technical coordinator who is still very loaded when it comes to providing a positive response to HIV and AIDS. Is this the last of you in HIV and AIDS issues in Ghana?
No, I am actually a full consultant on HIV and AIDS. Trust me. And if anybody is listening to me or you read my story, engage me. Or if you look at all aspects in terms of mobilizing PLs, education here and there, I am a full consultant. So I've been doing consultancy, and even though I left GAC, people still engage me to do high-level training. So I'm still on it, and I wish to do more. And any opportunity, I still talk to people about it. Recently, I do other consultancies as well. So I'm looking forward to doing a lot of things. Okay,
so certainly this is not the last of you in HIV and AIDS and all that. Any word for the media? People are missing you plenty.
Yes, I want to take this opportunity to encourage the media that because I'm no more with GAC, they should not think that the very good work we started should come to an end. No. We must continue. And I have said it time and again that I'm not with GAC, but I'm still a family member of GAC. And HIV work it is the work. The work is still in our blood. Is the work. The work is still. So we will not stop doing that. And so they should not also give up. I have a new person to take over from me. She has started work in Accra. She will soon come down. So I want to beg the media that they should still partner with the technical support unit to continue with the good work that we have been doing. Last week, I was in Ho to train media on HIV and AIDS, and trust me, the way they have started, if they will pursue it, it will do a lot of things. So I'm doing a lot more with media, and I hope that they will be encouraged to do more on HIV. They shouldn't stop the 90 ending AIDS by 2030. We need to get there. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank them for the partnership and for the assistance. And for HIV, it should be everybody's business, because either you yourself, you get infected, or your loved one, your friend, your sister's husband, your brother's wife or something. So that is how HIV is. But you will not, sometimes when you are working, you will not appreciate it. But as time goes on, you realize that the good work you have done has paid off. So everybody should be part.
Everybody should be part. And I'll take one last word again from you, but this time a word to the students that you have been visiting. I was there when in one day you got over 900 students tested in one school. That was Manfi. I mean, I was there. We started the work in the morning, and up to 9 p.m. we were there. The children were coming. How do you do that? But a word to these young people who will not be seeing you as actively on their campuses as you used to do anymore.
I think that they will miss me, but this legacy will continue. We'll find ways of doing the work. But I want to tell normally what I tell them is that you have to look at your future. You have a bright future. Why do you want to spoil it with one sex? You understand? So they should appreciate themselves. They should build their self-esteem. They should get some role models they look up to. They should let the sky be their limit. They should not limit themselves, and that is my passion, and that is why I spend a lot of time with them. So I want to encourage every youth, every adolescent that, as for sex, I'm sure a time is coming. You have it when you at the appropriate time, but for now, it's like you are doing some illegal thing, kind of thing. You are running around, stealing time, running this and that. They should just concentrate on their education. And I think that God will bless them, because if we don't have leaders tomorrow, it is because today we did not invest in them. They should also see themselves as the leaders tomorrow, who will be taking the mantle of leadership and run this country with. And so they must have that agenda and take good care of themselves.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you love our work, why not subscribe?